even over American objections. We should be disgusted by the spectacle of Israeli extremists running amok in the West Bank, sometimes with the protection of Israelis. No one in this body or the American government has suggested that Israel lay down its arms and be overrun, or that Israel does not have a right and indeed an obligation to defeat its enemies and defend its people. Rather, the United States has insisted that Israel's conduct of the war respect our interests and our values, the interests and values of Israel's closest ally. And yet, for the most part, this insistence has been ignored. The United States has been ignored in part because the Israeli Prime Minister is beholden to cabinet ministers in Mr. Smotrich and Ben-Gvir who insist there be no deviation from policies that are gratuitously brutal, even over American objections. We should be disgusted by the spectacle of Israeli extremists running amok in the West Bank, sometimes with the protection of Israeli security forces, shooting and maiming goat herders and olive farmers and burning and seizing their land. And the American people are rightly horrified by the lack of sufficient concern for innocent Palestinian life that has left so many children unnecessarily dead in Gaza, without limbs or riddled with shrapnel. As I said on the floor last year, no one should be naive to the inherent risk to civilians that comes with warfare in a place like Gaza against an enemy like Hamas. Tragically, horribly, fighting terrorists in a dense urban environment makes civilian casualties inevitable. And yet the evidence that force has repeatedly been applied with reckless disregard for the innocent is too credible for us to ignore. We are talking about precious, innocent children and other innocent civilians